What's up everybody, I'm Stella Chung and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Character customization and a brand new cutscene were shown off recently for Hogwarts Legacy, plus an upcoming Call of Duty event will reveal the release date for Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer. In the entertainment world, apparently there are a whole lot more sex scenes in House of the Dragon, and DC Films president almost quit after the cancellation of the standalone Batgirl movie. I hope you're having a lovely day, and let's jump right into it. New footage of Hogwarts Legacy has been revealed during a tech talk at the Autodesk Vision series. Not someplace we expected a gameplay reveal, but hey, we'll take it. The footage shows new cutscene work, including a cinematic where two Hogwarts students watch a trio of dark wizards attacking a hippogriff, and ends with the students jumping in to duel the bad guys. 10 points to Gryffindor. Along with the new cutscene, the Autodesk talk included a glimpse of the character customization options. There isn't full footage from the menus, but there are images showing off dozens of options for clothing, hairstyle, and face shapes for players to choose from. I personally spend way too much time on character customization, and I spent about half an hour or more on my Elden Ring character, so honestly, the more options the better. It is a tragic day for Multiverses fans. I am so sorry to report that the first season of the free-to-play brawler has been delayed. I know, yet another delay. The official Multiverses Twitter account announced that Season 1 was delayed along with the release of Morty from Rick and Morty. The last tweet in their update thread states, "We'll let you know the timing as soon as we can. We appreciate your patience and enthusiasm and look forward to unveiling Season 1 very soon." Even though it's still only in beta, Multiverses has already attracted a huge player base on Steam, surpassing Destiny 2 and Warframe. The first season's delay might be a bummer, but it's clearly not stopping people from having a good time beating the crap out of all of their favorite characters from under the Warner Bros. Discovery intellectual property umbrella.
The wait for details on the upcoming Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer is finally over, as Activision Blizzard announced a live stream that will include not only gameplay of the multiplayer, but details on other Call of Duty titles. Activision Blizzard has announced Call of Duty Next, a live stream event taking place on September 15th that will give us our first proper look at Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer mode in action. And if that's not enough, we can also expect details on Warzone 2 and what's next for Warzone on mobile. Following the Modern Warfare multiplayer reveal, fans will get to check it out for themselves during two open beta periods. The first will take place as a PlayStation exclusive starting September 16th for early access holders, which will then be made available to everyone else from the 18th through the 20th. The second beta period will allow for crossplay between all platforms that kicks off September 22nd for those with early access and opens up for everyone 2 days later on the 24th before concluding on the 26th. Early access will be offered to those who have pre-ordered the game, so if you'd like to get a jump ahead before anyone else, pre-ordering on a PlayStation console is the way to go. The showcase will take place on September 15th, yet no specific timing has been announced yet. Modern Warfare 2 is set to release on October 28th, and considering this may be the last annual Call of Duty game we will see until 2024, it makes you hope there are enough updates to last till then. Moving on, the first DLC character for Guilty Gear Strive Season Pass 2 was announced at EVO this past weekend, welcoming the yo-yoing bounty hunter Bridget back to the iconic franchise. This will be the first playable appearance for the character since Guilty Gear XX Core Plus R. Bridget will come with 2 new battle stages and a second color pack, and is only the first of 4 new characters expected to release in Season Pass 2. To mark the occasion of Guilty Gear Strive sales passing the 1 million mark, Arc System Works also released a new original music video for So Bad Guy's theme, and cut the price of the base game to $40. For more news that came out of EVO, head on over to IGN.com. A new Skyrim mod has taken the best of Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and injected it into the iconic Bethesda game. Modder Cyclonics added Mordor's Nemesis system into Skyrim that turns any enemy that defeats a player into a nemesis, which gains a unique name, increased strength, inflicts a debuff on the players, steals their weapons, and even uses it too. The only way to remove the debuff and obtain one's equipment back is to seek revenge. The mod also intelligently logs a quest so players can easily track and kill their nemesis. What honestly makes this genuinely cool is the mod's designed to thread together a situational story with your nemesis. Depending on what kills the player, the nemesis can be named and found in different locations. Players can have up to 5 nemesis at a time and will be restricted within 25 levels of the player. In addition, quest-related or essential characters cannot be turned into nemesis. It's been just a little under 11 years since Skyrim was released, and fans are still coming up with new ways to enhance their gameplay experience. If you end up trying out this mod, let us know who ends up being your nemesis. Moving on, it's been over 28 years since the sequel to Punch-Out! Super Punch-Out! Was released, and it's only now that we're finding out the game has a competitive multiplayer mode. Twitter account Unlisted Cheats revealed 2 new previously undiscovered cheats for Super Punch-Out! Released back in 1994. The first gives access to a free single-match game with any fighter. This can be done by holding Y and R on the controller plugged into the player 2 slot and then pressing start on the player 1 controller. The second cheat allows for players to pick one of the 16 characters and even perform their special moves. You can even access a 2-player mode in the free match mode screen by selecting a fighter, and when it shows the character information screen, hold B and Y on player 2's controller and press start on the player 1 controller. Both cheats have been confirmed to work on the Super Nintendo Switch version of Super Punch-Out!, but if you need a guide to help out, head on over to IGN's SNES cheat guide for a full breakdown. Now the real question is, will this spark a competitive scene for the gaming? Any takers on a tournament? And finally, Zoinks! The new platformer fighting game Multiverses is still in open beta, and it's amassed over 10 million players. According to Tracker.gg, the game has reached over 10 million active accounts across all platforms since its open beta 3 weeks ago. While not an official announcement, the data is ingested directly from games, so it would seem to be accurate. With a list of iconic characters like Batman, Bugs Bunny, Shaggy, and Arya Stark, the game has proved it's a hit. When it comes to which characters are absolutely broken in Multiverses, I would vote a toss-up between Velma, Garnet, and Bugs Bunny. But let me know your vote or who you main in the comments. Although Multiverse's first season and the official launch are delayed, Season 1 will bring a new character, Morty, from the animated hit show Rick and Morty. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was a black sheep for the franchise due to its lack of single-player campaign. However, a new report shows that a very ambitious campaign was in the works and that its cancellation may have paved the way for Call of Duty's first Battle Royale mode. As reported via Eurogamer, Reddit user PurpleToaster20 posted a detailed explanation of the campaign, which would have connected to Black Ops 4's multiplayer modes and specialists. The campaign was set to continue the events of Black Ops 3. Following a global pandemic and multiple climate disasters, the world was divided into 2 main factions. Players would have been able to pick a side, joining either the World United Nations or the Free People's Army. This might all sound like hearsay, but Purple Toaster also provided over 400 images of concept art, storyboards, and early mission planning for the campaign. All of this would have been playable solo or around a 2v2 race to the finish design, with the world state changing depending on which team accomplished their goals first, which would have provided a number of different campaign experiences depending on each faction's performance. One mission example would have the FPA infiltrate a data center in Zurich to extract critical information, while the WUN faction's mission would be to infiltrate the lower parts of the facility and plant charges to destroy it. If the WUN players could do so before the FPA extracted the data, the entire facility would be destroyed and WUN would be victorious. Developer Treyarch had created a number of original characters and cutscenes to accompany the gameplay, with each faction having its own handler that would talk to the players through each mission and oversee the campaign. There were even several DLC episodes planned post-launch featuring a handful of new missions and continued stories for the 2 main factions. Sadly, due to the ambitious nature of the campaign, reports in April 2018 surfaced that Treyarch would not include Black Ops 4's single-player mode, the first game to do so in the franchise's history. It ultimately boiled down to Treyarch saying they would not be able to meet the deadline for an annual COD release schedule, and so the game prioritized the multiplayer and zombies mode. The lack of a campaign might have had a silver lining though. Black Ops 4 also introduced Blackout, Call of Duty's first foray into Battle Royale, which laid the groundwork for the massively successful Warzone mode, which has breathed new life into the shooter. It's not often we get this much leaked info around a canceled project. What do you guys think though? Did Activision screw up by scrapping this idea, or did throwing Call of Duty's hat into the Battle Royale ring make up for it? Let me know in the comments. Moving on, Xbox announced its Gamescom plans will include a 6-hour live stream and a chance for those at home to virtually meet some of the devs behind its upcoming games. The Xbox booth at Gamescom livestream will take place Thursday, August 25th from 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern, with 6 glorious hours of developer interviews, gameplay, and more. It doesn't seem like there will be any new games revealed, but fans should expect updates from Xbox Game Studios on previously announced games. The current list of games includes Gunfire Reborn, Sea of Thieves, High on Life, Grounded, Minecraft Legends, Planet of Lana, and Age of Empires 4, to name a few. And for those feeling left out because they can't be there in person, Xbox will be holding virtual meet and greets with the creators of Sea of Thieves and Park Beyond, but only for select fans. You can enter for a chance to participate at xbox.com/fanfest. It's good to see Microsoft has cool stuff planned, especially since PlayStation, Nintendo, Take-Two, and Activision Blizzard have all announced they'll be skipping Gamescom this year. But don't worry, IGN will be covering everything live from the floor, including new stuff from Xbox. We'll have more details next week. Sit tight.
Square Enix is reportedly looking to sell off stakes in more of its wholly owned development studios. Reported by games industry analyst David Gibson, in Square Enix's latest earnings call, it described the unexpected sale of Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal as phase 1 of its changes to the business. Phase 2 will apparently see Square looking over its portfolio of owned studios and decide whether to retain full ownership or allow other companies to buy stakes. Gibson expects that Sony, Tencent, and Nexon would be interested in purchasing pieces of Square Studios, and management did express interest in acquiring new developers. IGN reached out to Square for a statement on these announcements, but we're currently waiting to hear back from them. Square Enix's remaining development studios include its 4 creative business units, which make the likes of Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and the recent HD 2D line of games. Luminous Productions working on Forspoken, Tokyo RPG Factory which made I Am Setsuna, and Square Enix London Mobile, creator of Tomb Raider Reloaded. Microsoft announced on its official blog that it is rolling out a plan to Xbox insiders that allows multiple people to share Game Pass Ultimate benefits. Unfortunately, this is only available in Colombia and Ireland at the time. Microsoft's goal is to make it easier for gamers to play Game Pass games with friends and family across console, PC, and cloud by adding up to 4 people to their subscription. The plan is currently only available to Xbox insiders, but they would be able to add people to the plan who are not part of the program as long as they're in the same country. Honestly, for $14.99 a month for Ultimate, this is a pretty great deal for adding up to 4 people to your account. And honestly, it seems like it'll put an end to some sibling bickering about whose turn it is to play Game Pass. It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, HBO's The Last of Us reveals some news on its cast, and Matt Smith goes into some sensual details regarding House of the Dragon. See you in a bit. Welcome back. DC Films president Walter Hamada almost quit recently over the surprise cancellation of the HBO Max Batgirl movie. But before that, House of the Dragon star Matt Smith thinks he's in too many sex scenes in the show. Let's find out what he means. If you've been anxious about more news on the new Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, you may be in for a steamy surprise. Matt Smith, star of the new show, told Rolling Stone in an interview that the amount of sex scenes his character is in is, quote, slightly too much if you ask me. He said, "You do find yourself asking, do we need another sex scene? And they're like, yeah, we do." Whew, is it getting hot in here? Smith went on to say he asked himself, are you representing the books or are you diluting the books to represent the time? And I actually think it's your job to represent the books truthfully and honestly as they were written. House of the Dragon is based off of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, a history of the Targaryen dynasty set hundreds of years before Game of Thrones. According to Martin's History of the Targaryens, Smith's Daemon Targaryen definitely got around, so the apparent overabundance of sex scenes seems pretty true to the book. But don't worry, along with the abundant sex scenes, there will also be a ton of dragons. Talk about really laying into the heat. Keep your eye out for House of the Dragon, which will premiere on HBO and HBO Max August 21st. In more serious news, Kevin Smith has weighed in on Warner Bros. Discovery's sudden and unexpected cancellation of the Batgirl film, and unsurprisingly, he wasn't a fan of the decision. On the latest episode of his Hollywood Babble On series, Smith said,
"It's an incredibly bad look to cancel the Latina Batgirl movie." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a
Ezra Miller's out holding people up at gunpoint.
I don't give a if the movie was absolute dog man. They spent, and it was, I guarantee you it wasn't. The two directors who directed that movie did a couple episodes of Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful show. You know, great looking, and they had more money to do Batgirl than they had to do an episode of Ms. Marvel and stuff. So,
And Warner Brothers should know they make a ton of superhero movies to make a lot of money.
Smith wasn't the only one to uplift the directors, as Kevin Feige, Edgar Wright, and James Gunn sent them messages in support. I'm so glad to see so much support coming out for the directors, and I really hope we can see some form of the Batgirl movie release, because so many people poured their hearts into that film. Is that a bird? Is that a plane? Well, actually, yes, a Boeing FA-18 Super Hornet fighter jet to be specific. Top Gun Maverick has overtaken Titanic to be the 7th highest grossing movie ever at the US box office. Maverick has earned $662 million in ticket sales. According to Box Office Mojo's latest statistics, this sequel has surpassed Titanic by more than $3 million. Maverick now sits behind Marvel's Avengers Infinity War, which is currently at the 6th highest grossing release in the US with $678 million. For the curious, Star Wars The Force Awakens is #1 domestically with a staggering $936 million. I guess the moral of the story is that fighter jets are cooler than old boats, but still not as cool as superheroes or spaceships. Maverick also became the highest grossing movie of 2022 at the worldwide box office, ahead of Jurassic World Dominion and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Congratulations to everyone involved in Maverick for all the successes the film has had. Suck it, dinosaurs!
The world of superhero fandom was rocked earlier this week when the new heads of Warner Bros. Discovery decided to cancel DC's upcoming Batgirl movie. And turns out the president of DC Films wasn't too happy about it either. According to The Hollywood Reporter, DC Films press Walter Hamada was upset over Batgirl being canned without his knowledge and almost quit on the spot. But he was convinced to stay on until the release of Black Adam on October 21st. Hamada was reportedly at a screening of Black Adam when the news about Batgirl reached him, but not even The Rock could have smelled this news coming. Hamada is the one who greenlit Batgirl as part of a strategy to bolster the HBO Max streaming service with mid-budget DC superhero flicks. So you can see why he'd be mad when the new management abruptly axed the movie he just spent $90 million on without even telling him first. The person behind all these controversial decisions is Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav. Yesterday, during an earnings call, he defended his choice to cancel Batgirl, saying the move was part of the company's strategic shift to make DC movies big-budget blockbusters and not lower-budget streaming films for HBO Max. $90 million is considered lower budget? To who? Bruce Wayne? The shocking move has DC fans worried about what will happen to other upcoming movies greenlit under Hamada, such as Blue Beetle and Supergirl. Also, during the earnings call, Zaslav said they're working on a 10-year plan for DC Films, similar to what MCU mastermind Kevin Feige has done. So we'll have to wait and see what movies make it on there and which ones will not. Now it's time to discuss in the comments. Honestly, I don't blame Hamada for wanting to walk out. He had a vision for DC Films that allowed for different kinds of films starring new characters to get their own feature, and with the WBD takeover, it's all been swept into the trash. On the other hand, I do admit it is appealing to hear they're coming up with a 10-year plan for DC Films. They really need that, considering the last one didn't really work out. I only hope the plan is a good one, and in the long run, it'll be worth losing a Batgirl movie that I personally really wanted to see. But what do you think? Let me know down below. Next up, some DC news to be happy about. Earlier this year, it was reported that a sequel to the commercial and critical hit Joker was in the works. Only this time, it would be a musical featuring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And now it's been confirmed. I'm on the edge of glory just thinking about it. A short teaser officially announced the sequel, titled Joker, Folie à Deux, promising the return of Joaquin Phoenix, who won an Oscar for the role, bringing Lady Gaga into the fold, she's got an Oscar too, and revealing the film will be released on October 4th, 2024. And finally, Seth Rogen's new TMNT movie now has a title and a release date. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem will hit theaters on August 4th, 2023. This new CG animated film should not be confused with the other 2D animated Ninja Turtles film that just came out on Netflix, which was called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Movie. That one was based on the Nickelodeon animated series, but this new one is an original spin, one that Rogen said will embrace the teenage aspect of Leo, Mikey, Donnie, and Raph's radical adventures. Given the slimy ooze dripping off the new logo art, I can only imagine what he means.
The Last of Us's Henry and Sam have officially been cast. An IGN exclusive, actors Lamar Johnson and Kayvon Woodard will be playing Henry and his younger brother Sam, respectively. In the game, Henry and Sam are the two fellow survivors Joel and Ellie meet on their journey. The brothers are on the run and are initially distrustful of Joel and Ellie, and it sounds like their story in the show isn't drastically different from the game. The official release describes them as, quote, brothers in Kansas City, hiding from a revolutionary movement seeking vengeance. And that's not the only casting news. Two new characters are being added to the show. Graham Greene and Elaine Miles will guest star as Marlon and Florence. They are described as, quote, a married couple surviving alone in the wilderness of post-apocalyptic Wyoming. No other details were given other than the couple are new and have no connection to the game, so if you've been expecting the show to be exactly like the game, you might be in for some surprises. The Last of Us will arrive on HBO and HBO Max sometime in 2023. While you can wait for the live-action adaptation, you can replay the original game in a complete remake made exclusively for PlayStation 5 this September. And if you can't wait that long, you can play the PlayStation 4 remaster or the PlayStation 3 original right now. Jumping from the small screen to the silver screen, a test screening for the upcoming Black Adam movie appears to confirm a post-credit scene. While that's not really news, pretty much every superhero flick these days is required to have one. The fact that it seemingly ties into the wider DC universe is interesting. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a June test screening included, quote, a new post-credit scene introducing a new element to Johnson's place in the DC universe. There aren't any details about what the scene actually is, but the fact that it ties into a bigger universe is interesting, given the current state of DC's movie IPs. The Snyderverse is effectively dead, with the last pieces of it living on in solo films like the upcoming Aquaman 2, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and The Flash. The Batgirl solo flick was recently canned despite being mostly shot, with the new WB Discovery executives explaining that they want to commit more to their film properties beyond the scope of Batgirl, which was originally set for HBO Max and not a theatrical release. And Black Adam star Dwayne Johnson previously teased more Black Adam content by saying the film is the start of, quote, a very long storytelling road. So it kinda sounds like the DC Extended Universe is in disarray at the moment, and Warner Bros. Discovery is probably hitting the reset button on it. Unconnected solo projects like Matt Reeves' The Batman and Todd Phillips' Joker were huge hits. But Snyderverse-era flicks Aquaman and Shazam also made bank at the box office. WB Discovery recently announced a 10-year plan for their movie franchises and is searching for a Kevin Feige-like figure to shepherd the whole thing. That said, considering the long-standing rivalry between Black Adam and Shazam, and the fact that Fury of the Gods is the next DC movie planned to release just a couple months after Black Adam, my money's on some kind of crossover there. It has to happen. Guess we'll just have to see if this pays off in the long run, but you can catch Black Adam in theaters October 21st, and you can catch the Black Adam post-credit scene, well, after the credits, obviously. Black Adam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods are both out later this year. And finally, Peter Jackson tried really hard, like I'm talking really hard, to forget making the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And no, it's not because he hated it. It sounds like he was just really jealous of everyone else who actually got to see it. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Jackson said, quote, "I always felt I was the unlucky person who never got to see them as coming out of the blue film. By the time they were screening, I was immersed in it for 5 or 6 years. It was such a loss for me to not be able to see them like everyone else." Apparently, he considered going to extreme lengths to watch the movies just as a fan by considering hypnosis. The filmmaker said, quote, "I actually did seriously consider going to some hypnotherapy guy to hypnotize me to make me forget about the films and the work I had done over the last 6 or 7 years so I could sit and enjoy them. I didn't follow through with it, but I did talk to British mentalist Darren Brown about that and he thought he could do it." Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy debuted in 2001 and followed it up with the Hobbit trilogy 11 years later. J.R.R. Tolkien's work will live on in Amazon Prime's The Rings of Power series. It clearly takes some cues from Jackson's trilogy, but he hasn't had any major involvement behind the scenes, which technically isn't part of the movies, but looks like it borrows a lot of visual elements from Jackson. So hopefully he can probably experience that for the first time, just like everyone else.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.